watching The 6-Minute Advantage, a weather special that could save your life. And now, let's go to the chief meteorologist of the ArkLaMiss, Jared Floyd.
Hello, welcome to the 6-Minute Advantage. I'm NBC 10 at Fox 14 Chief Meteorologist Jared Floyd. In the next half hour, our team of meteorologists will show you how our all-new live storm tracker Doppler radar stationed here at the West Monroe Studios is the best tool available in the ArkLaMiss to keep you and your family safe. Morning meteorologist Reed Leibarger will explain how our radar fills a hole in weather radars here in northeast Louisiana and across the ArkLaMiss. Our weekend meteorologist Brian Briggs will tell you about our all-new smartphone weather app. But first, we wanted to get down to basics on how this near $1.5 million piece of equipment actually works on a very inexpensive level. Take a look. All right, guys, welcome to what we call Studio 16. It's actually the empty room upstairs that nobody ever uses for anything, but we do have a green screen. And before we really got into the specifics of what the new live storm tracker Doppler radar does for our area in terms of location and in terms of the 6-minute advantage, we wanted to kind of give you a little idea of how a radar works in very rudimentary terms by using a flashlight, and then also on top of that, a couple of hydrometeors, some golf balls, some wiffle balls, and some rice. So on top of all these different hydrometeors, or basically different types of water particles or water molecules in the atmosphere, we can detect a lot of different things from radar. By the way, radar stands for radio detection and ranging. So basically we're sending out radio waves from an antenna, and we're waiting for those radio waves to be reflected off something back to the antenna. If they're not reflected back, they'll just keep going into outer space, and they'll just continue to go until something stops them. But they also won't come back to the antenna. We won't know that anything's out there. So our radar has a limited range, which is for good measure because we only want to see things in our immediate area. But we're also trying to look for whatever may be in the atmosphere, how small it may be or how large it may be, and that gets reflected back to the radar site. It's very crucial for us. Now, only about 80% of the radar's signal goes in one direction. The other 20% or so picks up other things in the atmosphere, especially on days when it's not raining, especially when there's nothing for the main radar beam to pick up. That extra 20% may pick up other things in the atmosphere, birds, bugs, smoke. And we call that oftentimes ground clutter around the radar site. And you see that from time to time. But the most important thing for us is what we can see weather-wise in the atmosphere. And a radar can do two different things, or at least ours can. And it's called reflectivity and velocities mode. Reflectivity shows you what you typically see on a normal day. Rain, hail, at times sleet. But the velocities mode shows you rotation and twisting of the winds in the atmosphere, and that becomes very crucial for squall lines or severe weather that includes tornadoes. At this point, we're going to focus on reflectivity and how that works and what it means when these hydrometeors are reflected back to the radar site. So let's take a look. All right, lights are out. We have our radar beam going. And again, remember, radar beams only really actually send all the signal out in one direction, about 80% of that radar signal. The other 20% get sent in all different directions. Think of that 20% of that's what's lighting my face right now. It's not lit that well, it's just lit kind of secondary because the focus of the radar beam, or the radar beam in this instance, is focused toward the green screen. Now, as I mentioned, our radar is looking for hydrometeors in the atmosphere, raindrops, fog, mist, drizzle, heavy rainfall, hail, anything, sleet that may pop up on our radar that we can then indicate that inclement weather is headed our direction. But of course, every droplet of water or ice has a different shape and a different size. For instance, this, which you can't see, is a grain of rice. Think of that as maybe like a raindrop, maybe some drizzle, maybe some fog. But when you pour just a little bit on there, obviously you can see the shadow of the rice in front of the light. Think of that shadow as the reflectivity back to the radar site. So it's kind of inverted. A shadow puppet eventually would show up on radar as rainfall. So as we continue, you can see how much of that is being reflected. It doesn't look like much, but eventually when you dump a lot at one time, that's heavy rainfall. And again, that's just one of the hydrometeors we're looking for, and everything gets reflected back in a different way. For instance, these small hydrometeors may pop up as blue or light green on our radar, but when you take a bunch of them at one time, then it may pop up as yellow on the radar. Now, there are also larger particles. We're talking hailstones, folks. And hailstones, of course, at severe limits become quarter size. They can also get to golf ball size, which I've seen in person before. And again, think of reflectivity. While it doesn't look like there's a whole lot being reflected back to the radar site, this is a huge particle. So it's being reflected back and leaving huge shadows, letting us know that something large is in the atmosphere and it's sending a lot of signal back to the radar site. Usually hail this size would pop up maybe as red, but probably in the purple range on our radar site. That lets us know that a higher amount of the signal is being sent back to the radar. Now, in extreme severe instances, you can talk about baseball or even softball-sized hail. And of course, you can imagine now, if you drop those hailstones, how much reflectivity we're talking about at that point. We're talking large amounts of that signal being sent back to the radar site, letting us know that something big is in the atmosphere and it's falling to the ground, and it could be threatening your area, your neighborhood, or maybe your home. Now, the other important thing that Reed will talk to us a little bit later on about is location of a radar site. Because, again, radars are very critical in that they have to be able to give us a good survey of the atmosphere in one area. And that means that the placement of a radar is crucial, because if you have, for instance, a building in front of your radar, it's going to limit your signal. And if you can't get that signal, you can't survey the atmosphere, and we can't tell you what's headed your direction. The wiffle balls that you saw in our demonstration there probably would indicate as black or even white on our radar, showing a high amount of reflectivity back to that radar site. It's also important to note that after every 10 scans, roughly every 10 minutes or so, the new Live Storm Tracker Doppler radar takes a few seconds to calibrate itself. This is to ensure that every piece of data you receive on air is as accurate as possible. And this is to ensure that every piece of data that you see will eventually be something that could be tracked down to the street level and really help keep you and your family safe. Still to come on the 6-Minute Advantage, morning meteorologist Reed Leibarger will explain the National Weather Service radar hole we have here on the Arklamis and how our new Live Storm Tracker Doppler radar fills that hole. Plus, our weekend meteorologist Brian Briggs will introduce you to our all-new weather app, and I'll show you how you can connect with us here at NBC 10 and Fox 14. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the 6-Minute Advantage with the Chief Meteorologist of the Arklamis, Jared Floyd.
Till our brand new Live Storm Tracker Doppler radar came online, you may not have known that you were in a radar hole. Our morning meteorologist Reed Leibarger shows you what that radar hole is and how this new $1 million investment we put into our weather monitoring systems here at NBC 10 and Fox 14 will be just one more integral part in keeping you and your family safe.
Radar coverage for the majority of Americans is excellent east of the Rockies, where severe thunderstorms, including tornadoes, are most common. However, there are a few places where radar coverage from the National Weather Service is less than ideal, and those are known as radar holes. Here in the Arklamis, we reside in one of them. Since we're situated between two of the National Weather Service radar sites, one over in Shreveport, one in Jackson, we're too far away for accurate scans at the surface. Shreveport's radar is 100 miles away, so by the time it makes it to Monroe, it's scanning storms almost 9,000 feet above the surface. And Jackson's radar, not any closer. It's even further at 125 miles. It doesn't hit storms in the Twin Cities until you are more than 2 miles above the ground. This is why having our radar here in West Monroe is so important. Although Monroe is pretty far away from these sites, Shreveport and Jackson radars can still see thunderstorms in Monroe, but it can't see the details of the lower elevations of thunderstorms, critical to monitoring some tornadoes and other types of severe weather. That's because the radar beam tilts upward away from its origin due to the curvature of the Earth's surface. Therefore, the portion of a storm sampled at a higher, farther it is from the radar site, and as a result, rotation from a developing tornado that's easily identifiable from our own radar, it could easily be missed from Shreveport or Jackson. This also becomes important during winter weather and during light rain. It can mean the difference between snow, sleet, and rain, or rain and no rain. With our new Live Storm Tracker Doppler radar, we have drastically improved the way we can look at storms in your neighborhood and bring you the most accurate information. From our radar site in West Monroe, we're tracking storms and getting information from just above the surface, only a few hundred feet above the ground in all of Ouachita Parish. This not only helps our team prepare you for severe storms before anyone else, but it helps the National Weather Service issue more accurate and timely warnings for our community. Another huge improvement from using the radar in Shreveport and Jackson, the 6-Minute Advantage. NextRad sites look at the atmosphere three-dimensionally and do a full volume scan before we receive any data. It takes those radars about 6 minutes to complete one full volume scan, so there's a good chance the storm you're looking at has already changed. And since it's best to keep things simple for our sake and the viewers, we typically only display one level of data with the new Live Storm Tracker Doppler radar, and that's the lowest level closest to the ground. This way, what shows up on your TV screen, it'll be most representative of what is right above your head. It takes our radar only 1 minute to complete a full sweep around the coverage area, and instead of waiting for multiple levels to be completing, our data is fed back to our Baron computers immediately with updates and fresh data constantly, bringing you the 6-minute advantage. So whether we're talking about severe storms, wintry precipitation, or just a light drizzle, the new Live Storm Tracker Doppler radar's purpose is to better serve you and everyone else in the community. And these are just a few ways it can. Now, Jared and Brian will continue to help tell you more reasons why. From the NBC 10 studios, I'm morning meteorologist Reed Leibarger.
And again, the vast majority of the ArkLaMIS lowest scans have been improved by the implementation of this new Live Storm Tracker Doppler radar. Still to come on the 6-minute advantage, our Brian Briggs will show you everything you need to know about our brand new smartphone weather app. Plus, I'll show you how our hand tracker tool helps us show you where the weather of the ArkLaMIS is currently impacting our neighbors, and you'll see the best ways to connect with our weather team. Stick around.
Welcome back to the 6-minute advantage with the chief meteorologist of the ArkLaMIS, Jared Floyd.
One of the most exciting parts of our new weather system is our radar. It works in conjunction with our weather computer system built by Baron, and you'll hear more about them in a minute. And now we have an all-new standalone weather app. Our weekend meteorologist, Brian Briggs, will show you the features of that new app and why it is better than any other weather app available in the ArkLaMIS.
To download the all-new KTVE KARD weather app, go to the Apple App Store or Google Play. Our new app, brought to you by Call Sam, has several features designed to keep you and your family safe, no matter where you are. Let's start with the basics. Click on Local Conditions, and you'll see what it's like right now. Our app geolocates where you are, so the conditions are for your current location. You'll see the temperature, wind speed, humidity, and even sunrise and sunset. Scroll down to see where your hourly forecast, your weekly forecast, as well as the phases of the sun and the moon. Now back to the home page. Let's now click on our weather map. Here you'll see our Live Storm Tracker Doppler radar. Our new app is the only app you can see our live radar. Click on the upper right to set your weather map overlays. Our Storm Tracker Doppler is the default, but you can have other options including looking at the potential future radar. Back to the main page, and let's show you another feature that is a must, the safety net alerts. First thing, you'll want to enable your alerts, and a whole menu of different type of alerts will come up, including things like hard freeze warning, excessive heat warnings, and even a dense fog advisory. Let's go down to the severe weather alerts, the most important ones to keep you safe. Make sure you have the tornado warning alert set. Our app will alert you to a tornado warning to your current location. In a minute, I'll show you how to set multiple locations. It's a good idea to leave the lightning in area alert and the dangerous storm approaching alert on. This will give you a few minutes warning to bring the kids inside, roll up your windows, or find a safe place if you're outside. There are many other alerts you can customize to your lifestyle. If you spend a lot of time on the lake, make sure you have the wind alerts on, especially the lake wind advisory. This will let you know something is coming, so you can get off the water before a dangerous storm blows in. Now, let's click over to the Locations tab. Our all-new weather app defaults to your current location, but you can add multiple locations for your alerts. Say, for example, you live in West Monroe, but your mother lives in Winsboro, and your son goes to school at Louisiana Tech in Ruston. You can set alerts for all of those locations to make sure you're notified about dangerous weather that could impact your family. These multiple location alerts will allow you to reach out to your family members to make sure that they know that the weather could be coming their way. Finally, the all-new weather app also has links to the NBC 10 Fox 14 breaking news app, traffic cameras, school closings, and more. Make sure you download the all-new Storm Tracker Doppler radar app today so you can keep your family safe. From the NBC 10 studios, I'm Brian Briggs.
And a reminder, that app is the only way to receive the new Live Storm Tracker Doppler radar information when it is off air. So again, make sure you download that app today. Still to come on the 6-minute advantage, I'll show you one cool tool that you've probably seen over the last couple of weeks to better tell you about weather in the ArkLaMIS, and you'll see how you can connect with our weather team on social media. Stick around.
Welcome back to the 6-minute advantage with the chief meteorologist of the ArkLaMIS, Jared Floyd.
Now, one of the really cool tools that is used in conjunction with our live storm tracker Doppler radar is the hand tracker that we can use on the wall. Now, we've decided to use it on a normal, quiet weather day, so to not confuse the viewers that actual severe weather is in our area, it is able to keep us on the wall so we can zoom in and out with you, stay with you on air, the viewers, and let you know that severe weather is on your way. Instead of just hearing a talking voice, you can actually see someone with you able to point out breaking weather in your area. This little toolbar gives us different buttons that we can access, different graphics that we could pull up the forecast if we needed to. We'll get to that in a minute. Our sky cam, which will give us an outdoor look outside if we so choose. We can also toggle different warnings, the severe thunderstorm warnings and watches, automatic storm tracking that is developed by storms that are in the area, algorithms from different radar sites that can actually track storms of the potential for hail or the twisting of the winds in those storms. Speaking of twisting of the winds, shear markers, which can indicate rotation in any storms. And then also, as you move farther down the line, lightning data. We can also show local storm reports, loop the data, and then also we can give you all the different radar sites that we usually use to survey storms in our atmosphere, from Shreveport to Jackson, Fort Polk, Little Rock, the national radar, and our live radar here in the West Monroe studios. A measuring tool just in case we ever need to know how far a storm is away from our area. We can also storm track whether it is cells of storms. We can also discuss squall lines of storms and their arrival time in our area. If there was a storm that was headed our direction, we could use those. We've got a telestrator tool we can zoom in. We can also pixel query, which basically tells us that we can take a look at the intensity of wind strengths and actually look at a pixel on the radar, and it'll tell us how strong winds or how high that reflectivity is. So that's, again, one of the most important tools that really goes on with this radar to keep us on air with you during breaking weather scenarios. We can bounce from different views to different views, but we can also switch to other graphics and maybe even address the forecast. But really right now, I wanted to talk really frankly about Barron Weather Company, the company we decided to partner with in this entire venture. And Barron's based out of Huntsville, Alabama, and we started working with them over the last year to really just unveil this radar and this graphics system. They are one of the leading weather technology companies in the world. More importantly, we felt that this company would provide a level of scientific precision, customer service, and overall a new fresh look at how weather develops here in the ArkLaMiss. Barron Weather also has shown the utmost dedication to each community it serves. For us, that was indicative on April 13th of this year. During a significant severe weather outbreak, and while the radar was under construction, our previous weather system suffered a data outage, which forced us to decide to switch to our new Barron Link system, although we had just finished training on it earlier in the week. The change was drastic and was warmly received by the community. More importantly, within 10 minutes of switching, we received a call. It was from Barron Customer Support in Huntsville. They simply wanted to know if there was anything they could do for us. While we were focused on your safety, they were focused on helping us keep you safe. Still to come on the 6-Minute Advantage, I'll show you how you can stay in contact with our weather team, both on air and online, to stay ahead of the storm. Stick around.
Welcome back to the 6-Minute Advantage with the Chief Meteorologist of the ArkLaMiss, Jared Floyd.
Welcome back. Anytime weather happens, our weather team uses social media to reach out to you, and it's where you can send us pictures and updates of what's happening in your area. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. We regularly update the KTVE KARD Facebook page during severe weather. We'll also stream live on Facebook if we have tornado warnings anywhere in our coverage area. On Twitter, you can follow the entire weather team at KTVE Weather individually. There are the Twitter handles for me and morning meteorologist Reed Leibarger and weekend meteorologist Brian Briggs. Before we leave, though, we want to remind you of this station's commitment to your safety. When severe weather threatens lives in the ArkLaMiss, we'll break into programming as necessary to provide information necessary to keep you, your family, your property safe. We know that for some, this won't always be a popular choice, but for us, it's a commitment we take seriously. And all of the world's best weather technology in the world that we now have at our very fingertips is useless if you're not informed. Thank you for watching the 6-Minute Advantage. Make sure you download our all-new weather app on your smartphone and follow us for breaking news and weather on our website at myarklamiss.com. For the entire team here at NBC 10 and Fox 14, I'm Jared Floyd. Have a good night.